Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Amazon is regrettably back at it again with their shitty business practices on their platform Audible. I thought that I would make this video to talk about this issue, but also give some alternatives to put pressure on Amazon and Audible. Not necessarily to get people to completely stop using Audible. I think for a lot of people, myself included, it's literally impossible not to use Audible. For example, last year's biggest fantasy release, The Will of the Many, aside from Wind and Truth, I would say that was the biggest release. The Will of the Many is an Audible exclusive, so if you want to listen to that audiobook, you have to go through Audible. Geographically, financially, I'm sure it just doesn't make sense for a lot of people to completely divest from Audible, and I get that. For myself, I mostly use other means of getting audiobooks nowadays. I would say 80% of my audiobook reading is through other means, and I thought I would share that. And yeah, I think having competitors in the space is good to put pressure on Audible to not have shitty business practices and not screw over authors. I will link a video from Daniel Green, his interview with Robin Sullivan. They go over it in a lot more detail, the situation, and explain it really well. So I don't feel the need to talk about it here, but this isn't meant to be a comprehensive list. This is just all of the ones that I've used. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you get something useful out of this video. The first app that I want to talk about is Libro FM. This comes up a lot in conversations when it comes to alternatives to Audible. The essential problem I have with this, I wanted to love Libro FM, but the problem I have with this app is that the user interface is literally unusable. It does not have the basic features that I think an audiobook app should have. A while back, I signed up for Libro FM and I got 3 books. They were doing some kind of deal where you get 3 credits, and I only ended up reading one of the books that I got because the user interface is just so unusable. Basically, when you download a book, there are no chapter titles. It's just a list of tracks. So for example, I read The Crippled God, and instead of having 24 chapters, it has tracks, and so it has 108 tracks. And so when I'm listening to this book, I have no way of knowing where I am at a glance in the book. And I just think that it's such a failing of the app to not have the basic chapter numberings in the app. It just doesn't make any sense, and I really wish that they would change it because I want to love Libro FM. I want to use this app. I think that their business model, where you can choose a local independent bookstore to receive part of your subscription every month, is a great business model. It's a great way of doing things. You know, it's kind of similar to the bookstore.org way of helping independent local bookstores. Yeah, the app is just really bad and they need to fix it. I would love to be proven wrong about this, and I would love to see them update this app. And honestly, I went back after 2 years to check to see if they had updated it, and they have not. The Crippled God is still just listed with 108 tracks, and maybe they've fixed this for some titles, but I think the fact that it's not fixed for all titles is still a problem. Most people have probably already heard of these, so I won't spend too much time on them, but Libby is fantastic. And speaking of UI, I love the UI on Libby. The thing that I especially appreciate about Libby is that if you have iOS, you can make a widget and then just click the big widget and go directly to your audiobook. And it's so much nicer and more seamless to be able to just click the widget and start your audiobook instead of clicking into the app and then clicking on the audiobook. At the end of the day, it's only seconds, but I don't know, it makes a big difference in the user experience to have that ease of access. The only real downside to Libby is that it is a library app, essentially, so you have to wait, you have to put holds, but if you're just sort of generally reading and browsing, you're pretty much bound to find something that you want to read that is available, depending on your library system. So it's been really good to have as part of my ecosystem of Audible alternatives. That's kind of a point I want to make in this video, maybe, is that because Audible has such a chokehold on the market, there's not really one app that you can use to replace it if you're trying to not to use it. You kind of have to be a little bit of a chameleon and use various different apps to replace it. But yeah, Libby is really good. You just have to delay gratification once in a while, which in the grand scheme of things is probably good for you or myself. I don't know. I don't want to speak for other people. The second audiobook alternative I would offer that is also library adjacent is Hoopla. Hoopla is my one true love in life. It's a library app, but you don't have to wait. So if they have a title and you see it, you can just borrow it. They do have a monthly limit on borrows. I think it's 8 per month for my library. which I never hit because I only read like four books a month. If I had to quibble about Hoopla, its UI is not that great. It doesn't have that nice widget where you can just push a button and go straight to the book you're reading. You have to click in and then click on the book. That's my tiny quibble with Hoopla. I really wish they would make a widget. It has all the functionality that you would want. You can download stuff to your phone and read offline, and the functionality is all there. And they actually have a lot of very popular titles like Brandon Sanderson, Robin Hobb. The first books in a lot of their series are on there, and they have a lot of like just the entire series of very popular authors. Joe Abercrombie is on there. A good amount of books I read this year were all on there, and they're like very popular books. It's not just niche stuff. The only other quibble I would have about Hoopla is that sometimes the audio quality is not as good. This ties into my next recommendation for Audible alternatives. So I was listening to a audiobook on Spotify and I ran out of listening hours, and then Hoopla also had it, so I borrowed it on Hoopla, and the difference in audio quality between the Spotify audiobook and the Hoopla audiobook was marked. I don't know why. It must be something to do with sound engineering or something. But yeah, it was very markedly worse than the Spotify audio quality, which sucks, but it was still listenable. And honestly, like Hoopla, I listened to more things on Hoopla than any other app. It is a very, very good app. So the thing about Libby and Hoopla is that I happen to live in an area where the libraries are really good. Not everyone has amazing libraries that they have access to, so I do want to bring up Spotify, though hesitantly, because I know that it is a streaming platform. It really seems like the whole issue with Audible is that they're trying to move towards more of a streaming model, and that's essentially like diluting the amount of royalties that authors get. But I did find this Reddit post from an author from a year ago, so it's a little dated maybe, but and they said that they get paid out more from Spotify than Audible. I thought that was interesting, and if any authors have books on Spotify who are watching this, feel free to chime in and let people know what your take is on Spotify and streaming. For Spotify, it is sort of like an opt-in situation, so I always kind of thought that if an author's books were on there, that they knew about it and were benefiting from the situation, and hopefully it's a mutually beneficial kind of thing and not predatory. But the thing about Spotify is that it is a huge tech company, and I feel like it's in a really good position to actually go head to head with Amazon, like in a meaningful way. I've had Spotify Premium since I was like 16 years old after I got my first job. So for me, having the extra 15 hours a month was a really good deal and a great value add. So I've been using the 15 hours a month. Most of the time, it's been great for reading like literary fiction that tends to be shorter than like big fantasy series. Or if I borrowed something from Libby and it's going to run out and I have like the last half left, I can just listen to it on Spotify, like the last 2 hours or something. It's been really great for those kinds of situations. The Spotify UI is kind of controversial. I don't know if it's great, but it's definitely familiar and something that I use day in, day out, so it feels seamless. But I haven't done this yet myself, but there is an option to buy more hours on the desktop version. You can't do it through the iOS, and you can also purchase books outright. Yeah, I don't know. Spotify is up there in terms of like the fact that it's free, kind of free with your music subscription, and it is like really easy to use. Did I talk about the Barnes & Noble app already in the intro? I don't remember. Yeah, the Barnes & Noble app, I tried to sign up for it on my phone because I saw that they're doing a deal where you sign up and you get a free credit for an audiobook. It was actually like difficult to do it on my phone, which is astounding in this day and age where they don't just have a seamless way to sign up, because I went to go sign up, and first of all, their sign up page is not like one of those sign up pages where you can just like connect to your Gmail account or connect to your Apple account. Like you have to go through and fill it out manually. It adds so much friction. I'm bringing up these criticisms hopefully because, I don't know, maybe someone will see this and is in a position to change things at these apps, because I do want things to improve and to put pressure on Audible via competitors in the marketplace. I'm lucky that I live in the US and I have access to libraries, and in the like fringe cases where I can't find something on Libby or Hoopla, it's not on Spotify, I just buy the audiobook. I'm lucky enough that I can afford to do that, but I do think that it would be good if there were more Audible alternatives out there. Hopefully, if you learned something new from this video, or you're someone who works at Barnes & Noble or Libro FM and you can take these criticisms to heart and change your app and improve it, that would be really great. This is a little bit more of a off the cuff video I just decided to make because of this sort of like recent Audible situation being in the news. So yeah, let me know what you think about this topic, and I will see you in the next one.